Podcast Answer Man, episode number 251.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference.
This is GSPN.TV.
Join the community.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte of This Week in Tech, and you're listening, you're smart, to Cliff Ravenscraft. He is the Podcast Answer Man.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this, my friends, is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your show, your life, your brand, your everything to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you've been podcasting for many years, or you haven't yet recorded that first episode. You really should check out learnhowtopodcast.com. Anyway, there's something we can all do to take our show to the next level. And my friends, taking things to a whole new level is what it's all about in my life. Personally, I love just pushing the boundaries of what I believe is possible. And in 2011, I deemed the year to be the year of providence. And certainly God had shown me his providence in ways that I never dreamed possible. 2012 is the year of even bigger dreams. I have these 15 super amazing, gigantic goals, 14 of which are things that I would love to achieve in 2012 if they're possible. And I believe that they are possible. And the question is how am I going to make it happen? Well, I had shared with you guys that one of my goals was to be invited back to speak at BlogWorld NYC and LA this year. And I have already shared with you that that is a reality. I will be speaking at both events. And this came as a result of a phone call that I had with Rick Calvert, who is the CEO and co-founder of BlogWorld and New Media Expo. And what I didn't share with you then, but I will share with you now, because the official offer and proposal has come in. I've looked it over, and I am officially accepting a position of track leader for the podcasting track of BlogWorld and New Media Expo. What this means is that, first and foremost, when it comes to BlogWorld, podcasting is getting some front and center attention at BlogWorld. This is something I've been talking with Rick Calvert about a lot, and something that he certainly understands the need for. We've been talking about this, and I have some information that I know is going to be exciting that is going to happen with BlogWorld this year. So just know that there's some amazing things. But here's the situation. In BlogWorld NYC and BlogWorld LA here in 2012, there is going to be a full-blown podcasting track for podcasters, by podcasters, to promote podcasting, because it has obviously a place in the new media space as a standalone avenue of creating content and connecting with an audience in a unique and awesome way that is equal to, in every way, to the written broadcast of blogging. So absolutely, podcasting is getting some front and center attention. In fact, for both NYC and LA events, there are going to be 8 sessions per day for 3 days. That's a total of 24 podcasting sessions. Approximately half of these sessions would be solo speakers, and the other half approximately half would be panel discussions. And as accepting the responsibility of track leader for the podcasting track for the BlogWorld conference, I'd be responsible for coming up with the topics that will be covered in those 24 sessions, and also responsible for finding and assigning up to 50 to 60 speakers to fill those sessions. Obviously, this is a major undertaking, and for LA, it's a major undertaking. But for the NYC event, he told me there would be 30 days to complete all of this stuff, and I'm like, Rick, I tell you, I've got some big things on my plate right now. And I shared with him what my top priorities were Obviously the podcast mastermind right now is my number one priority. One of the things that Rick said is, I understand this is a big undertaking. It's a huge commitment. And there are two reasons why I am accepting this gigantic undertaking. Number one, it obviously does provide a sense of taking my brand to the next level. The fact that this is the industry leading conference of my industry, of the podcasting industry, BlogWorld and New Media Expo is the industry leading conference. And to be a part of the leadership team of this amazing conference that reaches thousands of people every year, this is huge. So I will tell you that that's a huge part of it. And yes, the second reason is that there is some compensation involved for making a commitment to put some of my stuff, maybe, shift my own personal priorities around. And so the compensation is right. And the opportunity of taking my brand to the next level is right. It was a perfect mix. It is going to be a lot of work, but I am totally up for it. And especially knowing, definitely, I can tell you without any reservations, podcasting is getting front and center attention from this point forward in a way that has never happened before with BlogWorld. And what I can't tell you is that there's going to be proof of that. And if you come to the BlogWorld NYC event, you will know what I'm talking about. And wow, it's exciting. So I'm totally blown away by the opportunity. My dream, my goal, to be invited to come back and speak, and to now be in charge of the entire speaking track of the podcasting track. Wow, I'm honored. And let's put it this way: I'm going to make sure that we're going to have an awesome podcasting track. And the thing is, I'll tell you what, you're going to hear me ask you questions, maybe even some survey. I might even create a survey. I want to know what podcasters would love to hear about and what you guys want to get you to come to BlogWorld and New Media Expo, to get you to come and partake in learning and stretching and taking your podcasting to the next level, to interact and have community with all of these other podcasters from all over the world. What is it that is going to get you to come? What sessions would you most want to see? And so I'm certainly, obviously I have an audience of thousands of podcasters listening to me right now, and your voice is going straight to the top at BlogWorld. And my friends, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And I'm obviously excited about it. So more about that coming soon. Hey, real quickly, we are going to go over some questions here that have been submitted. And the first question I want to get to in just a second. But before I do that, I do want to give you my random plug of the week. Random plug of the week this week goes out to the Video Snapcast. That's right, the Video Snapcast by Spencer Burnside. This, my friends, and I love this. It is an audio podcast devoted for beginners in video production. I love that. I love it because oftentimes I hear people say, well, what I'm doing just wouldn't lend itself well to an audio podcast. And you'd be surprised at just how much you can achieve in an audio podcast, even something that you might think would require that is video. And there are certainly, don't get me wrong, I believe there are some things where video is obviously the way to go for the content that you might want to create. I will probably always think that there's a good chance that audio might be a good complement to that. But here's the thing, an audio podcast for beginners in video production. You can find it over at videosnapcast.com. I'll put a link to one of his episodes into the show notes here at podcastanswerman.com/251. That's the show notes for episode 251 on my site. All right, first question that I have here comes from Butch Gibson, and he wants to know what can he get by with using his own space from his ISP.
Hey, Cliff Ravenscraft. My name is Butch Gibson from Cincinnati, Ohio. I've listened to your show as well as other shows, and I understand the recommendations that you guys have of having Libsyn as your media host and having someplace like Bluehost host the actual website and then installing WordPress. My question is, I've got an existing bit of space that's provided by my local internet service provider, and I've kind of poked around with that, and I've had a website out there for many years, and I just kind of thought and wondered, what could I do with that space? It's local, it's here in Cincinnati, it's about 100 megabytes of space, but you don't have a lot of freedom. Anyway, my thought is, maybe I'll have a different website for my podcast, and I'll keep my own existing domain that I have, which is butchgibson.com. Not that I'm necessarily promoting it, I'm just kind of telling you what it is. And just maybe have two spots for folks to go. Or, maybe have a landing page with my existing Zoomtown bit of space and then have it point somewhere else. And I'm just kind of wondering, what could I do with this little bit of space that's been provided by my internet service provider?
All right, Butch, thank you for the question. And the first thing I want to say is, number one, I'm so glad to hear that you have your own domain at butchgibson.com and that it is, pointing to this space rather than you building maybe some online reputation around this, fuse.net/user/bgibson/ whatever. And I'm just making all of that stuff up. But I'm just going to butchgibson.com here just to take a look and see what you currently have. And I see that it's just a HTML site that it looks like you've maybe prepared. As a matter of fact, it's home.fuse.net/butchgibson/index.html. And your question to me, let's put it this way, if it were me, what would I do with this space? I would completely abandon the space provided by my ISP. I would never rely on them for anything. Here's the reason why I would not rely on that. I would not want to spend, let's just say, 2 or 3 years building my brand online, having people type in butchgibson.com. And one of the things that I notice is that you're just doing a forward to this, home.fuse.net/butchgibson, which the thing is that when people come and they bookmark your site, they're actually bookmarking the Fuse site. They're not bookmarking butchgibson.com. So the first thing is number one, I would immediately go to your domain registrar and mask the domain so that when it forwards, it just stays at butchgibson.com. Or see if there isn't any way that they can actually alias your domain so that it replaces the home.fuse.net with butchgibson.com. But honestly, I wouldn't even go there. I would completely abandon it altogether. The reason for this is you're in Cincinnati. That's great. What happens if one day you finally get totally fed up with DSL service from Cincinnati Bell and your ISP, and you decide to move over to Roadrunner over there in Ohio, and or Time Warner Cable, whichever one it is, and then all of a sudden now you no longer have an account with Fuse? Well, you could take your domain, butchgibson.com, and forward it over to a different place that you have online. But the thing is unfortunately right now, a lot of people are going to have bookmarked home.fuse.net/butchgibson. And when you no longer have an account with that ISP, you no longer have a site there. And then all of a sudden when people go to check out what's the newest going on with my good friend Butch Gibson, it's not going to be there. And that's one of the major downfalls. So it sounds to me like you were thinking, well, I'm going to keep this, but I'm also thinking about going ahead and creating my own WordPress site. Maybe I should have one for this, one for that. Now the thing is, it looks to me like you've spent some time creating this, some content. I see that you get your booking, your contact, your banners, your mission, you get all kinds of links, and it seems to me you might have some content. If it were me, I would recreate all of that content on a WordPress site and create all of those pages, and then work on that and have the same navigation. Thing is, you could even make your WordPress site look a little bit like this or even better, and just duplicate all the content, and then all of a sudden butchgibson.com is your main home site. Just like, by the way, if you type in, go to cliffravenscraft.com sometime and just see what happens. You'll see what I'm talking about, because I used to have cliffravenscraft.com. Matter of fact, check out ravenscraft.org. It's completely something different. But I have a lot of these places where I had domains all over the place. But yeah, you're right. Everything I do these days is on WordPress. Now, whether or not you should have butchgibson.com and then create a separate thing for your podcast, honestly, if your podcast is devoted to your brand, who you are, and what you have to promote, and it's all jiving, and it's the same target audience, really, honestly, I would recreate the content that you have on the static HTML page and put it all into WordPress, and then create a category for your podcast and have one site to rule them all. That, my friend, is my recommendation. And the biggest thing is, what if you move, or what if you change ISPs? That's why I would not rely on this. If you decide that you're going to keep this as a static page for people to come to, then at the very minimum, work on either aliasing your domain so that nobody ever sees home.fuse.net. Instead, they see butchgibson.com, and if Fuse can't do that for you, then go in and do a masking forward from your domain registrar. So, Butch, hope that helps out. We're going to turn things over to Josh Thompson, who has a question for us.
Hey, Cliff. This is Josh Thompson, Gainesville JT on Twitter and the forums, and this is for the podcast Answer Man. I just had a question about maybe starting a little podcast. I just found out that me and my wife are expecting our first child, and we're both really excited about it and thought maybe it would be cool to start a podcast for first-time parents. And we've never done a podcast before, and we were wondering if using a voice recorder on the iPhone 4 would be good for the job. But if not, what is a good quality, affordable digital recorder that you would recommend for beginners? I appreciate everything you do, Cliff. Love all your shows, and thanks for all you do, man. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Number one, congratulations for you and your wife becoming first-time parents. That's awesome. So congratulations there. And as far as, it sounds to me like you want to create a podcast kind of as a hobby, just to share this experience with the world and stuff like that. Absolutely, what you just used to record that audio feedback would be sufficient. It sounds to me like you were using maybe the iTalk application or whatever application you were using there on the iPhone. The built-in mic's just fine to get you started. If you were podcasting for a business, I'd be giving you some different advice. If you were building a major brand online or something that you wanted to turn into a major brand online, then I would suggest that you get yourself a decent microphone. But seriously, for what you're looking to do, that iPhone will be just fine. Now, the thing is, there was some popping P's there, some wind noise from your mouth. One of the things that you could do is buy yourself like a $5 windscreen for a ball microphone, and just stick that right underneath the bottom of your iPhone where the microphone is, and that will eliminate about 99% of that wind noise / mouth noise, the popping P's and stuff like that. And you can just slide that right onto your iPhone when you're recording. And I know people that have done that. And so and by the way, if you're using the Voice Memo app, I'm going to recommend that you not use that for your podcast. I would go with the iTalk application for the iPhone. It is, it's under $5, and it's probably only $2 or $1 or something like that. And I would go with the iTalk Pro, and it gives you unlimited recording, and it gives you a really high quality rating as well. And you can transfer the files over and convert to MP3. So Josh, honestly, you could go out and get yourself a nice digital audio recorder. If you're going to spend money on a digital audio recorder, I certainly recommend the R-05 recorder by Roland. You can find that on Amazon at gspn.tv/R05. You could, and that's an affiliate link, by the way, and you could actually hear my audio review of that in a podcast episode I did of Podcast Answer Man at podcastanswerman.com/R05. So Josh, I hope that helps you out, but certainly I think you could get by with just that iPhone and the iTalk application from Griffin. Turning things over to Johnny, who wants to do a Skype podcast with 3 people.
Hi, Cliff. This is Johnny B. Truant from johnnybtruant.com. I've been learning to podcast from your Learn How to Podcast series, and just wanted to really thank you for making that available. It's awesome. It's really demystified a very confusing topic for somebody like me who's just sort of beginning to get into it. My question is for Podcast Answer Man, and it's one that I haven't heard addressed, although maybe you've addressed it and I just haven't heard through the several hundred podcasts you have. But we have a podcast we're looking to start with 3 people, and we're all in different locations. So your advice about mics and mixers and all of that, I'm not sure who's supposed to have what equipment, actually, because I would imagine we would conduct these things via Skype. And so if the other guys, if I'm sort of the central and the person who's doing the recording and the mixing and whatever else needs to be done, do those guys need really good microphones too? And I would assume they would, because they'd be regulars. And if so, do they need some sort of a mixer or some sort of an odd input into the computer too? Because a USB microphone, I imagine, is going to not sound as good. So if we all want to sound like pros, I'm just curious, if we're connecting over Skype, and I would imagine it would need to be a 3-way Skype, that confuses me too. How do we do a show? I guess that's the question. How do we do a show with 3 people in 3 different geographic locations? What's sort of the best configuration of mics and equipment for each one of us? Thanks much, Cliff. Really appreciate the value you put out in the world. Take care.
All right, Johnny, thank you so much for the question. And let's just say, if I were doing this and being the audio snob that I am, and I want to have everything sound as amazing as possible, let me just tell you how I would do that. All right. First and foremost, I'm going to take it to the furthest extreme first. First, what I would do is I would have my own personal Heil PR40 microphone, because I want to sound amazing as the host of the show. And if I'm going to do the recording on my end, then I am going to go ahead and have the mixer and the digital audio recorder capturing all the audio right out of the mixer. That means I'm going to be using a Skype mix minus on my end. So I'm going to be bringing the audio from my computer from Skype into my mixer, and then I'm going to use the auxiliary output so that I can send all of the audio out of my mixer back into the computer for Skype people to hear it, so that they hear everything from my mixer except for their own voice. This is where the whole idea of the Skype mix minus comes in. If you need more information on that, I do have a $75 tutorial. If you go to podcastanswerman.com/inside, or no, if you go to podcastanswerman.com/studio setup, I believe is the link to that. But anyway, it's called the Inside the Studio tutorial. Certainly it's at podcastanswerman.com/products. It explains all about the Skype mix minus setup. So obviously, once you figure out how you've got everything set up on your end, you're just bringing in audio from Skype. Now, here's the situation. If I were doing 2 Skype co-hosts, first I would actually try to see if I could actually bring in Skype, both participants on Skype using one Skype connection. So I could, in essence, do a Skype conference call. And that's real simple. You just dial up Skype and you connect to the first co-host. And then once you're in Skype, there's a little like a little people icon with a plus sign in the middle, and it says click here to add a new participant to the call. You type in the Skype ID of the second person, and you hit add to call, and the next thing you know, all 3 of you are on a Skype conversation together. If all 3 of you have really awesome internet connections, very good high quality bandwidth, and all of this other good stuff, you got good computers with high processors, then chances are this is going to be just fine. The only thing is, though, is that you could potentially run into an issue where co-host 1 or co-host A has their microphone audio coming in higher than co-host B. And of course, I could personally walk them through their settings and have them adjust their audio up or down to where they're matching each other around the same way, and looking at the levels on my digital recorder just to confirm that as we go along. The thing is what about the next week when, they come back on again and, they've been using other computer programs that change their audio settings, and now we've got to do that every week. So like I said, craziest scenario possible, I would have my own personal microphone mixer recorder, and then I would have one computer hooked up with Skype running for co-host A, and a second computer for co-host B. And now, and by the way, so that would be 2 mix minuses. Now, I know that this is crazy. I'm not recommending this is what you have to do, but if it were me, this is what I would do. So I'd have a Skype computer for co-host A, Skype computer for co-host B. Now I can independently on my mixer control the volume level independently for each of those co-hosts. That's what I would do. But if you don't want to do that, you can, like I said, use one computer with Skype, conference calling both of them, all three of you on one Skype call together. Both of their audio is coming in that one cable from Skype into your mixer. You're sending both of them audio from your mixer without their own voice coming back because of the mix minus to Skype. Now, that's the equipment that you would need, either one or two computers with all that other gear, if you want to do it my way. Now, on their end, what would I want them to have on their end? Well, I would want them to have at least a Shure SM58 microphone. If they could afford to grab a Heil PR40, or if I could afford to send them one, then that would certainly be better. Now, do they need a mixer and a mix minus and all that stuff? Absolutely not. What I would recommend in their case is, I think it's about they run anywhere between $49 to $99. I would get an XLR to USB adapter. So basically, you plug in this, the XLR cable into this little adapter on the XLR side, and then it has a USB connection on the other side. And I think even Shure might even make one of these where it's got a headphone jack on the side of it, so they could plug their headphones in, and with zero latency, they could hear their own voice. They could hear you in the headphones. It works just like a sound card would. And that's what I would recommend, is that on the other end, I would recommend that they either have a Shure SM58 microphone with a windscreen or a Heil PR40 with a windscreen, and then one of these USB to XLR adapters. And on their end, that's all they need, because they're not needing to record anything. Now, if you did not want to go with the mixer and the digital audio recorder, which I very highly recommend, I never recommend recording into a computer. But if you wanted to know the least amount of equipment that you would need to get going with what you want to do, number one, a good microphone with USB connector, XLR to USB connector on all three of you. And then you could use some kind of Skype recording software to do that. And I think it's Call Recorder on the Mac, and it's Pamela on the PC. And there are other tons of options for recording Skype conversations in both services and stuff like that. So anyway, Johnny, I hope that helps you. And, of course, I'm always available for one-on-one. Well, no, not always. I'm oftentimes available for one-on-one consulting and coaching as well, if you need some further assistance. But anyway, thank you for that question. I am now going to turn things over to a recorded Where Are They Now interview. Today I'm talking with Leslie Samuel from Learning with Leslie. It is a great honor to speak to him. The other night I had this amazing conversation, 28 minutes long. I hope that you will be inspired by this. In fact, I'm sure of it. And we're just going to go ahead and get that started right now. All right, everybody, I have on the line with me right now my good friend Leslie Samuel from Learning with Leslie. Leslie, I am so glad to have you on the show.
And I'm so glad to be on the show with you, man. Thank you so much.
I finally got to meet you. What was that? That was last year, 2011, at Financial Blogger Conference in Chicago, I believe. Or at least you came to the meetup anyway.
I did come to the meetup, and I was at the conference for a little bit. And yes, that's where we got to meet in person.
I met you through podcasting before that meetup. You had invited me to be a guest on your show, had a wonderful time talking with you. We're going to talk about your show in just a little bit. Okay. But before we get into that, I want to get into some of the more interesting background. One of the things that I learned about you is that you actually are from St. Martin, and this is what kind of island is that? Do they call that a Caribbean island?
It is a Caribbean island. It's a very small island. It's about 37 square miles. And there's a Dutch side and there's a French side, and I'm from the Dutch side.
Now, my family went on the No More Mondays cruise with Dan Miller.
Did you guys go through St. Martin?
We went through St. Martin.
Oh, that is awesome.
And I took a private taxi tour of everything that was we did the Dutch side, we did the French side, and we had a very interesting experience on this beach that we walked on, and we did not realize that there was a different type of beach just around the curve, and I supposedly, I guess there are no gates to keep those people on that part of the beach.
I know exactly what beach you're talking about.
and my 10-year-old son at the time, his eyeballs jumped right out of his head.
Well, the first time I actually went to that beach and realized what it was, our church was doing a crusade. And we were having meetings on one side of the beach. And I wandered over to the other side, and I realized that it was not exactly what I expected.
You were overdressed. Let's just
let's keep it at that.
So, do you consider yourself to be Dutch, being from the Dutch side of the island?
Yes, I am Dutch. I went to school in Dutch for most of my life until I came to university here in America.
Gotcha. So do you speak Dutch?
I do speak Dutch.
So if you were to talk to my good friend Father Roderick van Hogen from the Netherlands, you could probably speak to him fluently then.
Well, I wouldn't say fluently. I would say almost fluently, because I've been away since 97. So my Dutch is a little rusty, but I can have a conversation with him and understand what he has to say, and he can hopefully understand me still.
So what brings you to the States all the way from that beautiful island?
Well, I came here to go to university to further my education. I was interested in science, so I came to university here and I did a degree in biology, and I went on from there. But the main purpose for me coming here was education.
Gotcha. And how does this have anything to do with Podcast Answer Man and the people who are listening, learning how they can be inspired in their online branding, their podcasting, and all of this stuff?
Well, man, there's so much that I can say there, but I did my undergraduate degree in biology, and then I did a master's in neurobiology. And when I was doing my master's in neurobiology, the thing that I wanted to do is teach at the university level. But when I started doing research, I realized that I hated this research thing, and I just couldn't see myself going on for a PhD in what I was doing. So I was teaching at a high school level, always wanted to teach at the university level, and I decided, you know what? If I can't teach at the university level offline, I'm going to do it online. And I started, just putting simple videos on YouTube and putting it on my blog, and growing kind of an audience and a community there at my blog. And to make a very long story very short, what ended up happening is I ended up getting a job offer to teach at a university in a Doctor of Physical Therapy program, exactly what I wanted to do. Even though I wasn't qualified, my qualifications, part of my qualification came from what I was doing online. And that was just such an exciting experience. I mean, there's so much I can say about that, but it's just interesting to see how the things that we do online can reach beyond the internet and affect us in our everyday lives, in our professional lives, and all those types of things.
This is exactly why I wanted to have you here on Podcast Answer Man, because you told me this story while we were sitting at Illuminati's special Chicago pizzeria. That was some good.
Pizza was good.
That was some good deep dish pizza. But anyway, you told me the story about how this happened. So you were teaching high school biology at the time when you started all this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
When did you first started creating some YouTube videos?
I first started doing them January of last year.
Okay, so it was just January of last year. And when you started creating these videos, what kind of equipment were you using? And can you give us an idea of what maybe one of your first videos would have looked like if I clicked play on it?
Definitely. What I did, I have a MacBook Pro and I have Keynote, which is kind of like PowerPoint on the PC, but in my opinion, much better. And I just kind of put together some presentations. I had my microphone. At the time, I was using a USB microphone that I had connected to my laptop. And I basically recorded my screen using ScreenFlow. And I spoke about the different things. But the main thing that I wanted to do is to take really complicated topics like neuroscience and physiology and break it down one step at a time. So I'd make very short videos using the equipment that I had and just putting them on YouTube.
All right.
They were very effective because a lot of people really enjoyed the fact that it was just smaller chunks of information. But yeah, those are the basic tools. One more thing that I use, actually, I had a tablet with a pen and tablet that I connected so I can draw on my screen. So it was really basic stuff, but it was very effective.
So with a laptop, let's see here. You said Keynote, which comes with a Mac.
Well, you purchased that separately, but
oh, that's true. You're right. So that is a part of the. It is not iLife. It's iWork.
Correct.
Which, by the way, now you can purchase separately. Then $99 for ScreenFlow, and for this you began to create these videos. And about how long were the videos?
The videos were anywhere between 3 and 8 minutes on the high end.
Okay, and of course, I would assume back in January you were limited by the 10-minute YouTube limit. Is that correct?
I was for a little while, and then they opened up my account so that I can upload more. But I didn't want to upload more for what I was doing.
Gotcha. So even though I guess you're able to upload an unlimited, or
yes,
theoretically unlimited anyway.
Yeah.
But you're still today you would limit that to 10 minutes or less, probably.
Yeah. Well, actually, in the beginning, I was doing on average probably 5 to 8 minutes, and now I'm actually bringing it down to 3 to 5 minutes.
Wow. And why the change?
The change is because I'm noticing that people are really enjoying the fact that it's very concise. So I try, instead of making a 10-minute video, I would prefer to make 3 to 4 minute videos that just talk about one thing, one aspect of what I'm trying to teach. Because when you think about neuroscience and physiology, a lot of information is coming at you at the same time. What I try to do is just make it simple. Take one topic and talk about that in one video, and then use another video. And another thing it does is it gives me more posts that I can put on my blog, more videos that I can put up there, and that's always a good thing.
Well, there's one thing that I can tell you. I can just tell you I have zero interest in biology and neurobiology and all of this other stuff. But there's something I can say that when it comes to meeting somebody like yourself, Leslie, and that is that you have this enthusiasm and this passion for what you talk about. And while I haven't yet checked out some of the video instructional tutorials that you have on biology, I could tell you I wouldn't be opposed to watching a couple 3 to 8 minute videos with you teaching this subject for 2 reasons. Number one, you can just tell that you are sold out passionate. I mean, the fact that you've come from the island of St. Martin, and then you come to the States and you go through all this process with this dream of teaching university. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, you go through all this process and you learn, well, I'm only qualified to teach high school, but you don't let that stop you. And I would assume, and tell me if I'm correct, you decided, well, I'm getting paid to teach high school, but my real passion is to teach college students.
Exactly.
And you did that for free. Is that correct?
That is correct for the most part. Well, no, it's still correct because I'm still putting out tons of free content. Most of what I put out is free. And, in my opinion, if you're going to be doing something at home for fun, or you're starting a business online, I mean, there's so many different things you can do. I mean, the possibilities are virtually endless. And if you're going to be doing that, you might as well do it about something that you're passionate about. Because number one, you're going to enjoy it more. Number two, the people can hear the enthusiasm in your voice, so that they're going to enjoy it more. And you never run out of stuff to talk about because you're talking about something that you love.
That's absolutely right. Are you familiar with Leo Laporte?
Oh, he played a significant part in some of what I'm doing today, actually.
There's no question in my mind. It's the same thing here. And I will be honest with you. I listen to Leo Laporte, and I will listen to him talk about things that I have not only zero interest in, but even things that I dislike. I will listen to him talk about because he likes them. And it's really fun to hear him energized and just to listen to somebody with passion in their voice. And so I think that is an important thing to bring out, not only in my success, Leo's success, but also, Leslie, in your success. I'm certain that your love for what you do and your enthusiasm and genuine passion for the topic has a ton to do with this.
Well, thank you very much. And, based on the feedback that I'm getting from my audience, that's very true. I mean, in the last year, and I'm not exaggerating, I've gotten over 1,000 messages from people all over the world talking about what the videos are doing for them and how much they enjoy it and how much it's not as boring as their lectures that they go to in the university and so on. So it really, passion does a lot for what you're trying to accomplish. At least that's what I found.
Speaking of listener feedback, what's the most memorable feedback that you think you've ever received from a listener?
There was one. Every time I think about it, I have to laugh. But a guy called into my hotline and he said he just had to share this with me because I knew that he was listening to my podcast for a while, but evidently his wife started listening to it. And he was sleeping at night. It was about 2 a.m, and he heard his wife mumbling something. And he touched her and he said, "Hey, what are you mumbling? Are you okay? Everything okay?" And then she got up and she started singing my jingle in her sleep. So he called into the hotline just to share that with me and to embarrass his wife. His wife was listening in the background and you can hear her laughing. But yeah, she woke up in the middle of the night singing the song. And that was, that did something to my heart. It just made me feel like, wow, it's amazing that I'm sitting here in my home office and I'm recording stuff. I'm making videos. I'm producing my podcast. And then I put them online. And then this person is someone that was in the UK that's listening to the content, that's consuming the content, and it's touching their lives.
And they're dreaming about you.
They're dreaming. I mean, how much better can it get, right?
My wife is dreaming about you. That would be some memorable feedback.
Oh, man, that came in about 2 weeks ago. And it was the first thing I saw when I woke up in the morning. And I was just dying with laughter. It was awesome.
That is good stuff, my friend. That is very good stuff. Did you start with YouTube or did you start with podcasting?
I started with YouTube.
You create this biology site. Did you create this biology site with the purpose of turning it into a business?
Definitely.
Okay. And so what was your thinking behind that? When you first set out to do it, what were you hoping would happen?
What I was thinking is this. I wanted to establish a brand. I wanted people to know who I was and to consume the content and to benefit a lot from the content, to share the content. And I wanted as much content as possible to be free. And that has really turned out well because I get emails from people in third world countries talking about the fact that they can't afford an education, but they feel like they're getting an education because of what I'm doing online. And I never wanted that to change. But then what my plan was in terms of really turning it into a business is to start selling supplementary products. So for example, right now I have my videos online and they're available 100% free. But I also wrote a study guide that you can purchase from the website for $34.95. And of course, a certain percentage of the people that are coming to the site are going to purchase the study guide. Then I'm also going to have some other options so they can purchase, for example, an audio version of the study guide. I haven't developed that as yet, but that's something else that I'm going to develop. And I'm going to be coming out with different products that people can purchase, different study guides, different resources. And that's one of the main models that I'm using in terms of making money with the website. I just actually started testing out AdSense. I was against it for a while, and then I decided to give it a try. And the feedback that I've gotten has been really positive. I mean, people are telling me things like, "Hey, we want you to continue making this content, and we would love for this content to be free. And if ads are the way that can help you to make some money off of it, go ahead and do it." And I actually put that out to my audience even before putting on the advertising. I said, "What would you guys think if I were to do that?" And the response was overwhelmingly positive. So I decided to give it a try, and it's been working. And that's basically what I want to do. I want to have the content, the majority of the content available for free, and then have options by which they can support what I'm doing by purchasing products, by purchasing services, and so on.
So this content has been online. Most of this content started a year ago.
Correct.
And how have things gone financially with the content? We'll talk about how it led to your employment in your dream job, but financially speaking, how well did things go for this first year?
Well, in the first year, honestly, I didn't focus on monetization alone. At all, because I wanted to get the content out there and I wanted to get as many people to find it as possible. Recently, I started monetizing. So a few months ago is when I released the study guide. And just this month is when I started doing the advertisements. And it has been going relatively well. Now it's a site that honestly and unfortunately, I don't spend as much time producing videos. In the beginning, when I started, I was making 3 to 5 videos a week. Now I'm making a video every few weeks.
Right.
So it's kind of something that's running on autopilot right now. And it's still making a decent, I consider it a decent amount of money for something that I'm not working on significantly. For the study guide, I'm somewhere between $500 and $1,500 a month. For AdSense, I just started this month and it's doing about $30 a day.
That is amazing.
So it's going relatively well, especially for something that I'm not spending a lot of time and energy on today.
This method of getting started where, people ask, how can I create a podcast or an online brand, how and make money from it? And I certainly, you and I both know many people who have been able to do that.
Definitely.
However, almost everybody that I rub shoulders with who do online businesses, they start out by creating free, available to everybody content. I'm just giving this to you. I love this. I'm passionate about this. I'm creating this content. Some people think, ultimately, yeah, I do plan eventually to find a way to monetize this. Some people start out with saying, if I never make a penny, I just get a total kick out of the fact that people are consuming this content. This is amazing.
Exactly. And if I weren't making any money from this, I would still be doing it.
Yeah. And that, I believe, is where I don't know. You can't. It is. I think it's a part of formula. It's a part of the formula for success in at least trying to duplicate some of what I've done, trying to duplicate much of what you've done, our good friend Pat Flynn and so many other people who have been successful in this. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that I know how to tell you how to do, because if your main and primary purpose for creating content is just to make money, I don't know how you can fulfill that part of the equation. And also the good news, I believe, is that you can make money and build. If monetization is your main goal and your main purpose, I think it's possible to actually create a business online and do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But certainly I believe that success is almost easier to achieve when money isn't the first and foremost thing in your mind.
Definitely.
I think your community engagement, they can sense that. They know whether or not this is for the money or for the passion. And I think that those people who says, those ads, Leslie, send them, because we care about you, because we know you care about the content.
Exactly. And, on my podcast, I interview so many different people from that are doing different things online. And the interesting thing about it is, like you said, you can make money if your goal is to make money. If that's your primary goal, because I've spoken to a number of people that have different perspectives where that's concerned. And a number of them are very successful with what they're doing. But for me personally, I can't do it if my main motivation is money.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that I am passionate about, because it's something that I'm investing a lot of energy in this while having a full-time job that I don't intend on leaving. So if I'm going to invest that time, it needs to be the kind of thing that when I'm doing it, I'm having fun.
How did creating these YouTube videos land you your dream job?
It's interesting because there's so many different aspects of that story. But I was, I'll give you a short version of what I wasn't going to say. Earlier last year, in April of last year, my dad was diagnosed with a serious illness. And he was sent to the country of Colombia. I went down there to be with him for a month just to help him out with physical therapy. And while I was down there, my mom was there, my sister was there, my aunt was there. And since I was the strongest, I was the one that was exercising my dad. And they were constantly telling me, man, you should go into physical therapy. And I told them, you know what? I want to teach physical therapy. It's interesting. And if I were going into healthcare, physical therapy would be exactly what I would see myself doing. But I know that I want to teach. When I came home, there was a letter in the mail from a physical therapy department at the school that I went to when I went to university, asking me to apply for the position. And I just kind of saw that as, God working in special ways in my life. And there was so much going on there. But I came and I felt like something strange was happening. I decided, you know what, I'm going to apply. I applied, and now I know that when they received my application, they weren't even going to consider me because I don't have a PhD. I'm not a physical therapist. What in the world am I doing teaching in a physical therapy department? But what I did, I came down and I scheduled a meeting with the chair of the department. And I went in to talk to him. And he was kind of like, okay, so, why are you here? What's going on? And I talked to him about what I wanted to do. And then I said, I want to show you something. And I brought him to the website. And he started looking at the website, and you could see his demeanor just changed completely. In the beginning, it was like, what is this guy even doing here? Why does he want to meet with me? We really don't want to hire him. He is not qualified. But over the next 10 minutes, it was like, whoa, you're doing this? And he was looking through the videos. He was looking through the stuff that I was setting up. And at the end of that conversation, he said, you know what? I'm going to make sure you're going to get an interview. Before you came in, you were not even going to get an interview. But now I'm going to make sure you get that interview. I got the interview. I went in there. I talked to them about what I was passionate about. I talked to them about what I felt God was doing in my life. And then I showed them the website and what I was doing. And by the next day, they had over 30 applicants with PhDs and Doctor of Physical Therapy degrees and so on. But it was a unanimous decision. They loved what I was doing and they wanted me to take the job.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
It was amazing.
What is the website address for your biology site?
That is interactive-biology.com. Or if you just search for Interactive Biology, or if you search for my name, Leslie Samuel, it'll come up.
Excellent. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes left. I want to make sure that we talk about something that's near and dear to my heart and my greatest passion, and that is an audio podcast. So, Leslie, why on earth, if you're having so much success with online videos and YouTube, and this thing has landed your dream job, why on earth create an audio podcast?
I can't see myself not doing it. It is the kind of thing where, there's something about, okay, when I was living where I was living before, I was living in the middle of nowhere. Not a lot of people around that, I can get together with and so on. And what got me through what I was doing, what I learned from was listening to podcasts, listening to your podcast, listening to Pat Flynn, listening to a number of other guys out there. And there was something to me intimate about having these earphones in my ear and just listening to the words that you guys are saying, listening to the words that all of these different guys were saying. And it really impacted my life. And I wanted to do the same for others because I was learning so much with what I was doing in my interactive biology site. I was learning so much with what I was doing with blogging and internet marketing over the last few years that I wanted to share it. And I wanted to share it in a way that was wholesome, that people don't have to, be concerned about what they're going to hear, if I'm going to be cursing in their ears or anything of that sort, because that was something that affected me personally. So I wanted to teach and share what I was learning. So I started my podcast. It's at learningwithleslie.com. And, there's just something that's intimate about my podcast. When I record it, And I feel as if I'm speaking to someone directly. Like this person is in front of me and I'm talking to them. I'm giving them advice. I'm saying, hey, this is what I did. And this is how you can do the same. They can call in and ask questions that they're struggling with, or whatever the case might be, to grow their online brand and their online business. And I can answer those questions on an individual basis on my podcast. And it has been great. The feedback that I've been getting has been significant and great. I feel as if I am touching lives and doing it. So I can't see myself not doing it.
Wow. That, my friend, is awesome. And that is exactly why I love podcasting, for all of those same exact reasons. And Leslie, I can tell you right now, you deserve every bit of success that you've achieved over the years. My friend, I thank you so much for coming on to Podcast Answer Man. If people want to find you online, of course, they can check out learningwithleslie.com. Again, they can check out interactive-biology.com. They can do Google search for Leslie Samuel. But what about Twitter? Do you want to give out your Twitter handle here?
Leslie Samuel on Twitter, Learning with Leslie on Facebook. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Leslie, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much of an honor it is to know you personally, online and face-to-face. And I look forward to when we'll see each other again, maybe even in BlogWorld NYC.
I am planning on it now. Now that I know that you guys are going to be there, I am definitely planning on it. So I'm looking forward to that.
That is awesome. We'll see you there, Leslie. And everybody go check it out. Thanks a lot, Leslie. Have a great day.
You too.
Well, there you go, my friends. I told you were going to enjoy that interview with Leslie Samuel. Wow. So much inspiration packed into 28 minutes. I hope that you got as much out of that as I did. So many things that are possible when you have enthusiasm, passion, and my favorite thing about this, I think if there's anything I pulled out of this, why do you podcast? I love the answer because I couldn't imagine life without doing it. That is it. That is the key. That is such a key to amazing success. And I'm inspired. Anyway, Leslie, thank you again for that wonderful interview, and look forward to seeing you at BlogWorld NYC. Of course, I look forward to seeing so many of you there, and I obviously will be coming to you guys with more interesting news and updates regarding the podcasting track. Again, you can sign up for BlogWorld June 5th, 6th, and 7th. Make plans to attend. It's going to be awesome. My friends, I also want to point out a few other things real quick. Last week we had a question, or actually 2 episodes ago in episode 249, Deborah had mentioned that the RSS to email service provided by FeedBurner was no longer available, and she wanted to know if there was a substitute. We talked about some different options available, but thanks to my good friend Byron, who emailed me, and a couple people who had left some comments on the show notes for episode 249. Turns out that the RSS to email option is still available with FeedBurner. It's just moved from the Optimize tab over to the Publicize tab. So go check that out, Deborah. If you're still listening, I encourage you to go see that. You'll find that you still have that wonderful service from FeedBurner available to you. Hey, real quick, also, I want to say thank you to those of you who have been using my Bluehost affiliate links. I want to say thank you to Michael Petrone from decreasemyrealestatetaxes.com. Again, that's decreasemyrealestatetaxes.com for using my Bluehost affiliate link. And also createspring.com. I wonder what's going to happen there. But anyway, both of them used my hosting account affiliate link, and as you know, I do get a very generous commission each time somebody does that. So again, thank you. If you guys want to learn about great hosting for your podcast, read my entire article over at podcastanswerman.com/hosting. My friends, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Podcast Answer Man. If you want links to anything that we've covered here, anything we've talked about in this episode, go to podcastanswerman.com/251. And certainly, please do me a favor and leave me a comment on anything we've talked about here in the episode as well. I love to hear from each of you and to interact with you guys in the commenting system on the site. Again, that's podcastanswerman.com/251. Until next time, my friends, take your show, your brand, and your life to the next level.